Old Yang talks about the strange. Today I want to tell you about a place. Chengdu, West China Hospital. One of the largest hospitals in Western China. Thousands of patients pass through its doors every day. But what most of them do not know is what lies beneath. You might say, a hospital basement is just a parking garage and a morgue. Yes. But the morgue at West China Hospital is different. Not the morgue itself. The corridor leading to it. And what lies beneath that corridor. This story was told to me by an old friend. His surname is Tang. After graduating from university, he went back to Chengdu and worked in the hospital administration for 7 years. Some of what he tells you he saw with his own eyes. Some was told to him by old-timers who had worked there for decades. I will not judge what is true and what is not. I am only passing on what he told me. Part 1, The Newcomer. Ta Ing was 25 when he started at West China Hospital. He studied public administration. He was assigned to the logistics department. Logistics handles many things. Property management. Cafeterias. Cleaning. Maintenance. And one more thing, coordinating with the morgue. West China Hospital is massive. The main campus alone sees tens of thousands of outpatients every day. The inpatient wards are always full. Extra beds line the hallways. Where there are patients, there is death. Where there is death, there is the morgue. The morgue at West China is also massive. Dozens of bodies at any given time. Tang entered the morgue for the first time on his 3rd day at work. Old man. The department head said, "Xiao Tang, I need you to go to the morgue and verify some paperwork." Tang said yes, picked up his clipboard, and went. He was not nervous. A hospital, after all. Dead bodies are part of the job. The morgue is in the basement. You take the elevator from the outpatient building down to B1. When the doors open, you are facing a long corridor. Tang said this corridor was strange from the very first time he walked it. The fluorescent lights flickered. One tube worked, the next did not. Some of the white wall tiles were loose. Wind came through the cracks, making the whole corridor hum. But that was not the strangest part. The strangest part was the length of the corridor. It was much longer than it should have been. Each time Tang walked it, he felt the corridor was deeper than the building above it. His footsteps echoed in a way that suggested multiple people walking, not one. He looked back once. No one there. But the feeling of being watched never went away. At the end of the corridor was a steel door with a small sign, Morgue. Behind the steel door was a small reception room. A desk. A logbook. A pen. Behind the reception room was another door. That was where the bodies were kept. An old man sat behind the desk. His surname was Liu. He was in his late 60s, wearing a faded blue work uniform. He had worked at West China Hospital for most of his life. In front of him was an enamel mug. The tea inside had long gone cold. Liu looked at Tang's ID badge, nodded, and opened the logbook for him to check. Tang checked the entries while making conversation. "Mr. Liu, how long have you worked here?" 30 years. Tang was surprised. 30 years in the morgue. When Liu started this job, Tang was not even born. Then you must have seen quite a lot. He was going to say a lot of dead bodies, but changed his mind at the last moment. Liu looked up at him. Not in a hostile way. But the look was unsettling. Not looking at Tang's face. Looking FO. Or something on Tang's face? Then Liu smiled. "Yes," he said. "Quite a lot." Tang finished his check and left. That was his first contact with the West China Hospital morgue. Everything seemed normal. Over the next 2 months, Tang went to the morgue 7 or 8 times. Always during daytime. Always business only. Leave as soon as the paperwork was done. Lu did not talk much, but he was not unfriendly. Just an old man doing his job. The incident happened in Tang's 3rd month at the hospital. Part 2, The Night Shift. Winter in Chengdu is damp and cold. A cold that seeps into your bones. The old hospital buildings had poor heating. The logistics office was freezing even with the space heater running. That night, Tang was on the night shift. The night shift in logistics is mostly sitting by the phone. Hours of silence interrupted by occasional emergencies. Just after midnight, the phone rang. The inpatient ward called. A patient had passed away on the respiratory floor. The family requested the body be taken to the morgue. Tang hung up, picked up the keys, and called the ward. RLY. In a hospital, this is routine. The body goes from the ward to the morgue. Paperwork. Signature. Done. The respiratory ward was on the 7th floor. When Tang arrived, the nurses had already prepared the body. White sheet from head to toe. A card at the head with the name and time of death. Tang glanced at the card. The patient was 71 years old. Chronic obstructive pulmonary disease, late stage. Pronounced dead at 11:40 p.m. A middle-aged woman was crying in the hallway. The patient's daughter, probably. Leaning against the wall, one hand covering her mouth, shoulders trembling. Someone stood beside her, holding her arm. Tang did not look too long. He had seen this before. Old man. The orderly pushed the gurney into the elevator. Tang pressed B1. As the elevator descended, the humming motor filled the silence. The doors opened. The cold air of the basement corridor high. Them. Flickering lights. Loose tiles. Water stains on the floor. The wheels of the gurney screeched against the ground as they walked. At the morgue entrance, Mr. Liu was waiting. He received the body, signed the logbook. Routine. Tang was about to leave when Liu called out. Xiao Tang. Come and look at this. Tang walked over. Liu pointed to an entry in the logbook from 3 days earlier. Unknown male, approximately 45 years old. Found at the train station. Sent by the police. Pending identification. Tang looked at the entry but did not understand what Liu was trying to show him. This man, Liu said quietly. Moved last night. The word hung in the air. Tang said, What do you mean, moved? Liu did not answer immediately. He picked up his enamel mug and took a sip of the cold tea. Then he said, I have been in this morgue for 30 years. I have seen at least 10,000 bodies. Rigor mortis. Liver mortis. Decomposition. Bloating. I know when these things happen and what they look like. But this man is different. How? Last night when I made my rounds, his fingers were straight. This morning, his index and middle fingers were curled. Not just curled. Gripping. Like he was holding something. Could it be rigor mortis? Tang asked. Liu laughed quietly. After 30 years, I do not know what rigor mortis looks like. Rigor mortis affects the whole body. It develops gradually. It does not curl 2 fingers independently. And this man has been dead for 3 days. Rigor mortis would have resolved by now. Tang did not know what to say. He studied public administration, not medicine. But he understood that Lu was speaking from decades of experience, not guesswork. And last night, Lu added, I heard sounds from the corridor. What sound? Footsteps. Tang looked down the corridor automatically. Empty. Maybe a patient from the wards, out for a walk? Lu shook his head slowly. Xiao Tang. The basement corridor leads to one place. The morgue. Who would take a walk to the morgue? Tang had no answer. He stood there, looking at Lu's weathered face. Looking for any sign of a joke. Lu was not joking. That night, Tang lay in bed unable to sleep. Lu's words turned in his mind. His fingers curled. Like he was holding something. Holding what? The next morning, Tang went to the morgue again. He wanted to say, don't worry about it, probably a mistake. But Lu was not there. The door was open. The enamel mug on the desk. A few cigarette butts in the ashtray. No Lu. Tang sat in the reception room and waited 10 minutes. Lu did not return. He stood up to leave. As he did, his eyes fell on the open logbook. The same entry. Unknown male, approximately 45. But a new note had been added at the bottom, in Lu's crooked handwriting. Right hand in fist. Continuing observation. Tang closed the logbook and left the morgue. He did not go back that day. Part 3, the 7th day. The unknown body lay in the morgue for 7 full days. Tang asked no more questions. He avoided the basement corridor. When he had to go near that area, he made sure it was daytime. Business only. No small talk with Lu. Lu did not mention the matter either. He came to work every day. Signed the logbook. Made his rounds. Locked the iron door every evening before leaving. Tang noticed that Lu had started locking the outer door. This was new. Why the lock? Tang asked once. To keep the thieves out, Lu said. What was there to steal in a morgue? Tang did not ask. On the 7th day, Lu called Tang's office. Xiao Tang. Come here. What happened? Just come. Tang put down the phone. He sat in his chair for 2 minutes. Then he stood up and walked to the morgue. He took the long way. Through the outpatient building. A 5-minute detour. He preferred the detour. Lu was standing outside the iron door, a cigarette between his fingers. His face was pale. What happened? Tang asked. Lu put out the cigarette. The man sat up. Old man. Tang thought he had misheard. What? Sitting up. This morning when I de rounds, he was lying down. After lunch, I came back. He was sitting there. Lu pushed open the door and let Tang see for himself. The morgue room was about 15 square meters. 3 walls of cooling cabinets. A metal table in the center for body preparation. The table was empty. Tang's eyes moved across the room. Then he saw it. In the corner. Against the cooling cabinet doors. Sitting. A man. Sitting upright. Back against the cabinet. Legs straight out. Hands on his knees. Head slightly bowed. Chin almost touching his chest. Not lying down. Not slumped. Sitting. Like a man resting on a park bench. Tang said later that his first reaction was not fear. It was confusion. He stood there, staring at the seated body, searching his mind for any medical explanation. He found none. A body 7 days dead cannot change position by itself. even if someone lifted it into a sitting sit-ion, rigor mortis would have locked the joints. The posture would be stiff. Unnatural. But this posture was completely natural. Unless the man had sat up by himself. And that was impossible. Did you move him? Tang asked. Lu looked at him. I have been doing this for 30 years. I would not do something so stupid. Did anyone come in? The lock was on. No one came in today. Tang stood there, looking at the man in the corner. The fluorescent lights shone coldly on everything. The body showed clear livor mortis. Dark purple discoloration on the dependent parts. But the posture was not that of a dead man. It was that of a man waiting. Tang did not ask any more questions. He walked out of the morgue, stood in the corridor, and took deep breaths. That indescribable smell filled the corridor. The smell of cold. For the first time, Tang felt that the smell carried something else. Lu came out and locked the iron door. I called the police station, Lu said. They will send someone. That afternoon, the police came. A forensic examiner came with them. The unknown bod. Y was placed in a body bag, loaded into a van, and driven away. Tang watched from the window as the van's tail lights disappeared through the hospital gate. He told himself the matter was over. But some things are not over just because you want them to be. Part 4, The End of the Corridor. A week later, Tang was working late. He stepped out of his office and saw a glow at the end of the corridor. Not the white fluorescent light. A yellow glow. Like an old-fashioned incandescent bulb. He walked toward it. The light was coming from the direction of the basement corridor. But at this hour, the morgue should be empty. Lu's shift ended at 5. Tang stopped. He debated whether to investigate. He decided not to. He turned and walked the other way. But after 2 steps, he heard a sound from the end of the corridor. Not footsteps. A scraping sound. Like something being dragged across concrete. Scrape. Pause. Scrape. Pause. Scrape. Pause. Feng Shui master. Tang said it was the most regular sound he had ever heard. Not the rhythm of a person walking. A mechanical rhythm. Repetitive. Automatic. Like a clock pendulum. The sound lasted about 30 seconds. Then it stopped. Silence. Tang stood in the darkness of the corridor, not moving. He knew the end of that corridor was the morgue. He knew the iron door was locked. He knew no one was inside. But what made that sound? He asked Lu about it the next day. Lu said, I finished my shift at 5. I locked the door. Everything was fine. Tang asked, then what was that sound in the... Lu cut him off. Xiao Tang. Some things do not need to be understood. After that, Tang stopped going to the morgue entirely. He was not too proud to admit it. He was afraid. He requested that his morgue duties be reassigned to another colleague. The department head asked why. I am not feeling well, Tang said. The department head looked at him. Did not ask further. Approved the reassignment. Lu continued to come up to the logistics office occasionally to chat. Tang noticed that since he stopped handling morgue duties, Lu talked more freely. Part 5, Lu's 30 years. One day, Lu told Tang some things from the old days. Feng Shui master. When I first started here, Lu said, the morgue was in a different place. Not in the basement. A single-story building on the north side of the campus. Primitive. No cooling equipment. In summer, bodies could not be kept for more than 24 hours. When the new building was constructed, the Morgue moved to the basement. On the first day I walked in, I knew something was wrong. What was wrong? Tang asked. The temperature, Lu said. The cooling system keeps the room at a constant 4 degrees Celsius. But some spots are colder than others. How much colder? It is not about degrees. It is about an invisible wall. When you walk through it, the temperature drops sharply. Half a meter of difference. Walk past a certain cooling cabinet and you feel it. Where are these spots? Every cooling cabinet, Lu said. Tang was silent. Old man. 30 years, Lu continued. I have seen many things. Some bodies come in with their eyes wide open. No matter how many times you close them, they open again. Some bodies still have color in their faces, days after death. And some. He stopped. And some bodies cry. Tang stared at him, waiting. Not crying out loud. Tears. After death, the body's fluid systems stop working. But some bodies, when they arrive at the morgue, leak fluid from their eyes. Not seepage. Not early decomposition. Tears. Droplets flowing down the face the same way living tears do. 30 years. I have seen it at least 20 times. At first, I was afraid too, Lu said. Over time, I got used to it. Not because the fear went away. Because you can get used to anything. But some things, you never get used to. Tang asked what those things were. Lu did not answer. He stood up, brushed the cigarette ash from his pants, and said, "It is getting late. I should go downstairs." Part 6, The Figure by the Wall. That was Tang's last month at the West China Hospital main campus. He had applied for a transfer to a branch hospital. The paperwork was going through. His final days were spent on handover. One night, close to 2 in the morning, Tang was woken by a phone call. Not a work call. An old friend, drunk, dialing the wrong number. After hanging up, Tang could not fall back asleep. He decided to walk to the office to pick up some belongings. He lived 15 minutes from the hospital. The Huaxi district streets were empty at that hour. He entered through the outpatient building. Empty. The footsteps of a night nurse echoed from a different floor. He did not go to the basement floor. He took the sky bridge toward the inpatient building. Feng Shui master. Halfway across the bridge, he glanced out the window. The moon was full and bright. Moonlight spilled over the old buildings of Huaxi, coating them in a silver-white sheen. Tang stood on the covered walkway, looking down at the gap between the old building and the new one. A few large plane trees grew in the open space. Their shadows lay on the ground like grasping hands. But Tang was not looking at the trees. Someone was standing at the morgue entrance. A very thin person. Wearing a long gray gown. Standing on the steps. Not facing the door. Sideways. Face pressed against the wall. Like he was listening to something inside. Tang stood on the bridge, more than 50 meters away, and saw this clearly. It was not Lu. Lu did not own a gray gown. Lu was not that thin. Tang's first instinct was to call security. But he did not. He stood there on the bridge, watching. The person did not move. Face pressed to the wall. Listening. Seconds passed. Minutes. Tang did not know how long he stood there. He blinked. When he opened his eyes, the steps were empty. Tang did not go to investigate. He walked quickly across the bridge, down the stairs, away from the morgue. He looked back twice. The corridor was empty. The next morning, Tang went to the morgue to examine the area. The steps were clean. The wall showed no marks. But Tang noticed something. The iron door was locked. From the inside. Lu's shift started at 7 in the morning. Tang arrived at 6:50. Lu had not come in yet. But the morgue door was locked. From the inside. That meant someone had been inside overnight. But Lu had already left the previous evening. The key was in the desk drawer. Who could have locked the door from inside? Tang did not wait for Lu to arrive. He turned around and walked away. That same day, he submitted his final transfer paperwork. He ended his handover period early. Part 7, The Charity Mortuary. Tang told me this story over tea at a Chengdu restaurant. He looked well. Normal. The same old friend from university. But I noticed one detail. He chose a seat with his back to the wall. Facing the door. He never looked behind him. 7 years at West China, he said. Left me with one habit. I always feel someone is behind me. I asked him, what happened to the unknown body? He said, taken away by the police. No idea where. No one ever asked. West China sees hundreds of deaths every day. An unclaimed body means nothing. What about Mr. Lu? Still working there. Over 30 years now. But he is not the longest. There was a morgue keeper before him who worked for 42 years. He retired. Died 3 months later. Some say he died because he had nothing to do. Some say he could not leave that place. Feng Shui master. I did my own research later. The Huaxi district where West China Hospital stands was once a wilderness outside the city wall during the late Qing dynasty. Too remote for anything useful. Used as a burial ground for the poor. A place where unclaimed bodies were left to rot. In 1905, British and American missionaries bought the land to build a university. During construction, workers dug up large amounts of human bone. Those that could be identified were reburied. Those that could not were burned. In 1910, what became West China Union University opened its doors. During the 1940s war, the site served as a field hospital and refugee shelter. War and displacement brought more and more bodies to this place. In the 1970s, old buildings were demolished. New ones went up. In 2000, the university merged into Sichuan University. What we now call West China Hospital took its current form. 120 years. The buildings above ground changed completely. What lay beneath was never moved. When they dug the underground parking garage, construction workers uncovered a well-preserved Han Dynasty tomb. Archaeologists came, took what was inside, filled the pit back in. The garage was built as planned. When you drive your car into the West China Hospital parking garage, your tires pass directly over that 2,000-year-old tomb. But that is just history. You park your car. You go upstairs. You register. You see the doctor. You are admitted to a ward. Your bed is 15 meters above what was once a burial ground. Above what was once a mass grave left by war. Above the bones that were dug up and burned. Above the ones that were never found. In 1950. In 1900. In 1000 AD. 15 meters. That is all that separates the living from the dead. Tang transferred to the branch hospital. His work is normal. His life is normal. He has never entered the main campus morgue again. But every time he walks past Huaxi, he walks a little faster. He says he does not know if it is psychological. But the temperature on that street is always slightly cooler than anywhere else. The morgue corridor. The iron door. The wall where the grey-gowned man pressed his ear. The cooling cabinets. The invisible cold spots. The body that sat up. The fingers that curled. The footsteps at midnight. The scraping sound. Mr. Liu is still there. Still in the basement. Still doing his rounds. If you ever find yourself at West China Hospital, do not take the elevator to B1. Do not walk down that corridor. And if you hear knocking on the iron door at night, do not answer it. Because the door is locked from the inside. And Mr. Liu is the only one with the key. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to Wukong's archive. We will see you next time.